Hi, I'm Mike with Crane Realty. If you're a buyer, you've probably have seen a lot of different listings and maybe a couple of them saying tenant occupied. Now for a lot of different buyers, that's kind of a term that goes in one ear and then out the other, but it could actually end up being a really big warning flag that could help you as a buyer be on the lookout for any potential issues. Now, that's not to say across the board the number of issues that I'm going to mention apply to every listing that says tenant occupied. And in fact, for the seller, who's the landlord, the listing agent, they'll most likely have a really good handle on the situation itself and properly prepping the tenant and getting that transaction when they eventually get an accepted offer to close. But for a variety of different situations, it's very important for you as a buyer to be on the lookout and know what those potential pitfalls could be when you read tenant occupied. So what exactly are those pitfalls? Well, in real estate right now, it probably goes without saying that with the pandemic, we're in a very unique climate, right? So for a number of different landlords, tenants, you've heard of squatter situations where, these tenants frankly are not getting out and they're not being evicted to the point where, they're being forced out by a certain time, and then the seller can then, take care of the property, properly have it cleaned, and then get it prepped to list. Instead, some are actually trying to sell it with tenants or with people that are in the property and then not leaving. That's certainly a huge red flag and something that you want to avoid. It's not very common, like I mentioned before. For a lot of listings, they'll have that situation properly addressed. And for most tenants, they'll be cooperative and they'll move out. However, there are some squatter situations to certainly be aware of. The next thing is anybody who's disgruntled. The relationships between tenants and landlords are not always the greatest, so there might be some deferred maintenance, or essentially two parties really not cooperating, and that can actually have a physical impact on the house itself. So that's certainly something to be aware of as well. If you're seeing a listing that only has pictures of the outside and really not too much on the inside, possibly it's for a reason. And why exactly is that? So certainly something to help with your buyer's agent helping you navigate your way through the home buying process. Should ask some of those questions. Hey, is there any additional pictures of the inside that we could take a look at? Why exactly is the property in this condition? In addition to that, some tenants, they tend to lawyer up if they're being told, hey, this property is being sold and you've been living here for X number of years or what have you. They might actually find themselves understanding that they have the right to stay there if they have not been provided a notice to stay there for an additional 90 days. That can take your transaction that might be shooting for a 45 or 60-day closing and now tacking on an additional month to that. So if you're in a hurry and trying to close soon, perhaps that's a property that doesn't actually meet your criteria just based on that fact alone. So if this information is all helpful to you, I'd be more than happy if you can click that like button down below. I'm Mike with Crane Realty, and I hope you have a great rest of your day and that this content was helpful to you.